Alright, welcome to Dark Age of Man Solo, Session 2. Let's go over here and recap quickly what happened last solo session. So the last session, again, I have two main characters, Seamus Keoghan and Herc Coglahan. The Coglahan clan is one of the three main clans of Ireland in our setting. So I would actually be related to that clan, and we are in we are on the east side of the Dredge River, which divides Ireland, occupied England, from the rest of the England island, and we are literally scouting and spying along the northern border of Dredge County in the woods, where we encountered a lost child. We ran into Danes, which had captured us. We were able to escape from those Danes when a werewolf ultimately attacked in the wee hours of the morning. The lost child came up 3 times, and again, you don't have to eliminate them. You can just retouch on them depending on how they've been resolved. Lost child was ultimately not resolved, and there's now a new RSC here, and I'm going to go over how I handled this. Currently, though, the game ended with my character dying, so they had no choice but to take me into Dredgewater proper to get me help. Unfortunately, they had 2 critical fails in dealing with both Falcone and the sheriff took Seamus and my brothers into custody, and on this morning, they will stand before Lord Washburn and explain themselves. So that's where we'll start the session. That would be the setting setup. The inciting incident would still be the same as the first session. The northern crops have been raised by a group of unknown men, and the major and minor dilemma would not change because we didn't resolve these. So these can stay basically all true if you want to continue session after session until they're resolved, or until something else trumps them. Okay, so what happened here is I left most of the RSC in chat, but those RSCs that came up that were kind of resolved or at least continued on, I put a new RSC in that spot. Pagan Stones we have encountered the Pagan Stones, so I've added a new RSC to the Pagan Stones line. Rituals, which I would probably relate narratively back to the Pagan Stones. Lost Child came up 3 times, and that's because it's on the curve. It's a prominent number. It's going to come up a lot, but because it came up 3 times, it's not completely unheard of, but it's depends. I added Lost Child to 8, so Lost Child now, because it came up so much, I'm thinking, again, I'm naive, but I'm thinking the Lost Child might be a werewolf, right? Because he was following my brothers back to our camp when the werewolf fell upon all of us. So I'm thinking the Lost Child might actually be the werewolf, but again, we don't know. So in line 11 comes a new one, Irish Poachers. So again, this will be the Irish who are crossing River Dredge into the east, poaching, fishing, poaching, etc. And then 12, Contra Hunting came up twice. Last session, it ended with him hunting the Dane down. So the Dane captured him, brought him back, successfully ransomed him. Then I immediately rolled Contra Hunting again, and so that, I said, was Connor grabbing his armor and his weapons, getting his young friends, and they're going to try to catch this Dane. They're going to follow this Dane north and try to get him back. So that's a very dangerous situation. So a new RSC in this spot is Dead Body. Again, I'm naive. I don't know what Dead Body that'll be, but it really is going to relate to either Connor's dead body or the Dane's dead body, but we don't know until it comes up. Thief is unresolved, as we were accused of being thieves and spies, and that's why they're standing in front of Lord Washburn, so I have not resolved Thief yet. Plague is not resolved. I have to find a way to introduce Plague to the characters. And number 14, Dane Raiders, which we met, that took us captive and have actually ransomed successfully Connor back to Washburn. A new line, Dane Army. So if Dane Raiders comes up again, they are now the Dane Army. Those 2 camps of Danes that were in the north would come together to make an army. They've seen enough of Dredgewater to know whether they're easy prey. Again, so I'm naive, but I'm not completely stupid. And Dane Army would be the next phase up from Dane Raiders. And then the ones that I had not rolled, I leave alone. I don't have to. I could start with a whole new RSC for everything and just keep playing very naively, right? Okay, so to bring us up to speed, Seamus and my brothers are in custody of spies, and they are being brought before Washburn in the morning. Herc is recovering from his dying condition in the chapel. He will be now at injured. So we would open this section up with Herc injured, so he is recovered, right? And let's see here, court with Washburn. So that's where we're going to start this session. I will not roll an RSC yet because we are going to go directly to Seamus and my brothers Ulk and Carrie as they stand before Washburn. Washburn will challenge them, as both Falcone and the Reeve tell their tale of Seamus and my brothers bringing my dying body to Falcone. Falcone has me housed in the chapel, resting. He will explain his piece of it, and that he wasn't convinced that these three men weren't thieves or worse, spies. Basil said I got the same feeling when I questioned them, and so that was, your Lord, this is why we have brought them to your attention. So Washburn is going to ask a couple of key questions of Seamus in particular. Seamus steps forward, and Seamus says these two men are under mine and Herc's authority, so you cannot hold these two men accountable for anything you say here. So Seamus goes on to explain that they were naturally moving east through the North Country, encountered Danes, and because of the encounter with the Danes, as you well know, you've met the Dane. The same Dane that ransomed your son of late is the same Dane that had captured us. We were able to escape, but in that escape, my brother in Herc was badly injured and lay dying. We needed help. We were innocently crossing east, will be Seamus's argument. And now we're going to have to make a TV check against Washburn. Washburn is a repute 8 character. There are things going on here that will complicate it. For instance, the inciting incident, 2 northern crops have been raised by an unknown group of men. Well, again, we are an unknown group of men. That is something that is currently on Washburn's mind. So DV goes up from, say, an 8 to a 9. 2 raised fields must be cleared. This is something that is relevant to the inciting incident. And the Dane camps just lay north, right? Of course, we've encountered them. However, we have not resolved them. So he is going to have a luck. We're going to have an actual prestige check. Seamus has a +1 prestige, and he is going to stand with some authority, and he's going to explain the situation. And Washburn's an 8. It's going to go up to a 9 because of the dangers in the area here, and there may be a thief on the loose that Falcone knows about, but Washburn may not be concerned about some petty thief in town. So we're going to say 9. We have to roll an 8 or better to convince Washburn that we are what we say we are. So here we go. First roll of the day. Yes, critical success. Washburn orders all 3 of us to be unshackled. And Basil Rathburn, a jaw drops agape as Washburn stands and says, "It is clear you men were indeed attacked by the same Danes that attacked and brought my son here for ransom." So we can make sense of this narratively, as Washburn would be angry that the Dane brought his son in and ransomed him. Washburn, by the way, might not be aware that Connor has made chase after the Dane, right? So again, we have to remember that Washburn isn't omniscient. He doesn't know everything either, right? Just like us. But that's a huge role for us. He releases us, and he says to us, "You are free. You are free to move about Dredgewater. Collect your kinmen, and just obey the laws. And be aware that if any other Irish activities are against us in the region, you will become connected to those Irishmen. So he basically releases us, but warns us that if this Irish poachers comes up, we're going to become blamed too, right? So we are freed. Washburn agrees to free us and give us leave to stay in Dredgewater. All right, Falcone surprised but willing to accept it, as is Sheriff Basil. And on the way out, Basil reminds us, be well behaved, or I will send men for you. Seamus, Keoghan, and Falcone head back to the chapel, where they will attempt now to make a healing check. Falcone will make Seamus, with the aid of Falcone, will make a healing check to try to bring Herc up to battered. And so it's going to be a +2, mind of 1, and aid of Falcone, +2. It's going to be a DV of 6. Nothing difficult here, as I've had time to rest. I'm in bed. We would have food. We would have herbs and remedies. So we just need to roll a 4 or better. Oh, critical success. So that's going to bring Herc not only up from injured. It wasn't as bad as we thought. Not as bad as we thought. Herc now is now battered. It's going to come down too. So from injured to battered to fatigued. So Herc is just fatigued, which can be remedied in just a few hours rest. So that's another critical success. As it turns out, Herc is not as badly injured as it appeared. They clean up the wounds. It looks as though, some stitching and some care, and he'll be right as rain in a few hours. And even the battered condition is relieved with a good night's rest. Remember, the game started where we assumed my characters had been foraging and surviving in the woods, scouting Dredgewater. Seamus explains to Herc the situation, and that they are free to enjoy Dredgewater services and etc. So Herc thanks Falcone, and they do decide to meander about. And remember, our characters are without our weapons. We lost them to the Dame. So the first thing Herc's going to want to do is head directly to the closest blacksmith. That will be Dar. Seamus and the brothers with him. And so we are going to approach Dar, and we are going to see if Dar can't supply us with some kind of equipment. And it's going to be a purse check. We're going to combine both purses as Seamus and Keoghan go through all their valuables that are hidden about them, whether it was earrings or maybe some silver that had been not sewn, but had been tied into their locks. Right, we can pull the silver braids and things out of our hair if we need to, and we're going to offer Dar something for at least some poor weapons. We do not want to be in combat with no weapons at all. So this would be basically for like 4 iron swords or something like that. Again, Herc's prestige is 2, so his purse is 3. Purse is 3, and Seamus's purse, I believe, is a 2. So that's +5. Combining all of our resources. No, he's also a 2. So 3 and 2, 5. So +5, that's right. So we're going to add +5 to this. Dar, we are foreigners. We obviously have leave. We are not armed currently. But I think Dar would be a bit of an 8 here, as Dar is going to say, listen, I would be selling iron weapons to Irishmen. So I'm going to set Dar's DV at 8. Normally this would be like DV 5 or so, but we're going to need a 3 or better for Dar to give us at least 4 types of poor weapons. Oh, wow. Dar grunts and says, I have nothing available. You will need to search elsewhere. I have not anything in stock, and I have not the time nor the resources to fashion together any weapons for foreigners. And he waves us out the door. So he failed to get arms. This is a big deal, because if we end up in combat, we're at -2 in any combat roll. Not a good deal. So Seamus and company are going to head over to Blackleaf Inn, which is it's like the lower end. It's the lower quality inn here in town, right across from the smithy. And I'm going to make my first presenter roll. We've seen enough now to know, right, that there's time for something to happen here. Let's see, your 10. 10 is pagan stones, rituals. Okay, so we've had our first rituals roll, and that's not going to necessarily come up yet. I'm going to hold that in my pocket because, again, the pagan. And this will be tied directly to the pagan stones, which Seamus has already found. He made a spiritual check to determine that they were using them for sacrificial rituals. Now there's going to be some evidence that there's actually some sacrificial rituals happening. However, they may not discover that right now, right? While in the Blackleaf Inn, they will hear rumors that from 2 or 3 of the women who have come in here while their men work the fields in the laboring, they're going to hear as they have ale and relax. They're going to overhear conversation with some of the women folks as they talk about their men are home in the hovels, very ill, and they're concerned it might be plague. Seamus is going to make a mind check to see if he can hear enough from the descriptions of their symptoms, etc., to know if it's plague or just illness. But Seamus is going to lean in and try to make out best he can. But again, Seamus' second language is English, as he is Irish, so we're going to up this ante to about 8. So I need a 7 or better for Seamus to make sense of these rumors. No, so he shakes his head and leans over to Herc and brothers and says, "Yeah, it sounds like they may just be ill, or they're faking it as they are lazy peasants who don't want to work the fields." And I'll make another presenter check here, as I've attempted to put the plague in front of the players here. 11, 12, 13, 14. Uh-oh, this is Dane Army, I think. Oh, my God. There it is. This is going to change a lot here. This could be very, very dangerous. Dane Army. So while they sit and enjoy ale and maybe have some encounters with locals, nothing major, as it's not going to come up here, they do hear a hustle and bustle outside, and you hear loud raised voices, and we actually are inspired to get up and go outside and see what's going on. So as we leave the inn and we come out, and we see everybody pouring out into the fields here to the right or to the east of Dredgewater, and they point out Dar, the big 6'6" blacksmith they were just talking to, points to the hill, and on the rise of this hill here we see a Dane army on foot and a few on horseback, as they are now at the edge of this hill up here. Seamus and says quickly, I think we should head west, back across the River Dredge, back toward home country. This is not going to go well. Meanwhile, 2 Viking riders ride down the hill toward the manse behind the palisade walls. We see a lot of locals running and screaming for the gates of the palisade. And we're going to make a roll to see if Herc orders us to head west or if Herc orders us to head toward the palisade. And we're going to make this roll. Again, Herc's mind is a 0, so I'm not going to modify his mind at all. And it's going to be a 6 or better check. And then Herc, I'll have a choice as to whether Herc goes into the palisade or heads west. Heeds Seamus's advice. Yeah, 10. So Herc, seeing this Viking Dane who he despises, riding down the hill on horseback with 2 of his left-hand men, Herc is motivated to seek some kind of recompense against this Dane. And he says to his brothers and Seamus, Irishmen don't run from a fight, to the palisade. And they race up to the palisade. We're going to make a luck check to see if they get in before the doors of the palisade are closed to them. Luck check versus 6, no big deal, no luck. We don't have any luck modifier, so he's got to roll a 6 or better. Yes, so we get into the gates of the palisade just as the gates are closed. Herc and his brothers and Seamus all run, climb to the tops of the walls, and overlook at the gate as the Dane rides to the gate of the Dredge Town. It's called Dredge Town in Dredgewater. This is the palisade. And Seamus looks about inside the courtyard of the palisade and sees there's quite a few people here, fortunately, got in. But there's no way that everybody in the village or in the hovel and working the fields out through Judge County were able, obviously, to get in here. But many of the people residing or shopping or doing business in town were able to get into the palisade behind the safety of the gates. The Dane on his horseback barks up. We have decided that we would like to have this palisade fort for our future holdings. We would like to work the land and call your man Washburn to the wall. We will negotiate. And they go and fetch Washburn. He comes to the gate, stands before the Dane from the walls, and the Dane tells him, we can work peacefully in this transition of power, or we can take this by force. It is entirely up to you. But I have seen you. I have seen your soldiers at your gates here, and I have seen the quality of your son, and I believe you would be best suited to evacuate your right to this land. And we're going to make a roll as Seamus leans in to Herc's ear, and Herc turns to Washburn, and he says, fit me properly, and fit my brothers properly, and we will go west, and we will bring help. All you need to do is hold the fort. And with his +2 prestige, Washburn with a DV of 8, we need to roll an 8 or better with my +2 prestige to convince Washburn to let us go armed west and bring back help. Oh, critical success! Washburn immediately pulls John, the man-at-arms, his leader of his armies, to him and says, I want you to fit these men with the best equipment and horses and sneak them out of the priest hole, out of the back. They are headed west. They will bring Irish help. And we are on the run, folks. Holy cow. So there we have it. We have got a major play here as Session 2, Washburn employs us to bring an Irish army to the field. Okay, so we're also going to get some equipment here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get back an excellent sword. I already had one, so we'll get back my excellent sword. I'm not going to ask more than that. And of course, Hulk and Carry automatically count as a bonus if I use them in a particular way, so no big deal. And Kyogen had a good 6, so we're going to go ahead and assume that he got at least good equipment back, right? So we're not getting a big bonus here, but we're not unarmed, and Hirk would get a good sword. And we are literally going to pop out of the hillside behind here from a priest hall, which is where the royal family and all the important people would use to escape if indeed they were invaded. And let's see if any of the northern army parked on the hill here, if they have any scouts or things watching for such a thing. We're going to make a luck check versus 6. No luck modifier. See if we're seen. 4. We are seen. And we're going to have to make a run for it as we run toward the river. And the river's not far. You can see here in the image, the river flows around the hillside. We're going to make a run for the river. And it's going to be a body check for our highest body check, which is going to be 0 for Seamus. We've got to go slow enough that we don't outrun Seamus. So Seamus is going to hold us down to a 0. And their army, remember, is a mob. They are an 11. We're going to make a run for the river to get into the river. If I can roll a critical success, this might get us a boat at the river. If I critically fail, of course, it would mean that we're caught up and probably have to engage in a combat. I'm going to say it's a percentage of this army, right? They're not a complete mob. I'm going to say they equal us in size. 4 of us, 4 of them, right? So we're going to have that DV set at, let's see, 11, 7. So that would be 7. So we just need to roll a 7 or better to beat them to the river. No, we're going to end up engaged in a combat as they cut us off. Fortunately, though, unless we roll a critical failure, they won't signal the rest of the army that we're making a run for it. Holy cow. I'm going to roll a presenter check here, too, to see if anything complicates this. 10 complicates this. 10 is the rituals again. Holy cow. So something has gone on at the ritual stones that might directly impact what's going on here. So I'm going to make a note here. So we are in combat, engaged in combat with 4 Danes in our escape to the west. Here we go, and they are a DV7, and they have a health of 4. And here we go. They're going to stride up and attempt to stop us. And that will be a combat check. And I'm just going to make the check as Herg and his brothers attempt to defend themselves. I need a 7 or better with a +2. 6. So we're going to end up, again, hurt here. And we're going to say that I'm going to make a roll. I'm going to make a luck check of 6 or more. If I need a 6 or more to avoid one of my brothers being killed. Oh, good. So 6 or better. So my brother, neither brother is killed, which means I'm, again, unfortunately battered again. So I have now, again, suffered battered. Right? Seamus is going to call out with his Saix and attack them. Again, he has a +1, 11. So he's going to actually kill one of these men. And file save, and again they will attack my character. Again, they have a 7 and up. I have a +2, 6. They are going to again maybe kill one of my siblings here. 6 or better. Oh, good. So nobody's died except I am now again injured. So suddenly I am just not getting it done even with this good. So they're basically sizing me up and deciding I'm the leader. They must deal with this. Okay. As this fight goes on, in the east over here were pagan stones. And suddenly from the area, the pagan stones, the army on the hill is horses, and they're fidgeting a little bit as they see something from the pagan stones arise in the mist. And we're going to say that it is an undead army. They have brought forth the fact that I rolled the rituals twice. Something's got to come from this. East of Dredgewater, undead mob. There we go. So let's look that up. Let's look up skeletons, right, as an example. The mob is 6 and 4. So, again, doesn't matter how many so much. So it's DV6, health 4. As they see coming out of an unnatural fog. Let's see here. Hidden by unnatural fog. Undead. Okay, and they're moving slowly toward Dredge. Right towards Dredge. Now we're going to make a check against the DV of the leader. The DV leader is 8, and as he hears his men sound the horn, while we're fighting over here behind this hill trying to get to the river, they sound the horn and wave hands to look. He turns on his horse, waiting for a reply from Washburn, and sees the fog and sees shambling toward them undead or skeletons, etc. His DV is 8, so we're going to make a roll, and if it's high, if he does not make the DV, excuse me, if I don't make the DV 8 plus, he will if I make it, he will right away to his army to leave the field. If I fail it, he will stay and embrace this undead army. Oh, he stays, rides his horse toward them with his 2 fellow, and he's going to be engaging with these undead. Holy cow, let's go back over. Unbelievable. We're going to go back over to us as we continue to fight. And Seamus, again, with his Saix, strikes out and gets a critical failure. That's going to be 2 wounds against Seamus. So Seamus is now, right, we're going to come here. Seamus, critical is battered. That means he suffers 2 conditions. So he is suddenly, well, I'll just do it this way because it's easier. Fatigued and battered. So he is exhausted as he's fighting for his life against these 3 remaining. And my character will lash out with his +2 sword trying to kill. And 11, not quite a critical, but I do bring down another one of these men. We can lower this DV at this point to 6, as it makes sense they're weaker. And I'm going to make a roll against my prestige 6 or better with my prestige, that they will abandon. Oh, critical success. They throw their weapons down and they run toward their army, which is now coming down to help their king or their leader, and they're running off toward the hill. So we have dispatched, right? We have routed the remaining troops. Okay, let's make another presenter check here. As they wage war, and again, I don't have to resolve this right now. I can narratively resolve it. I can just tell the tale, or I could have the players make a couple of luck checks, and they will get to narrate the direction. Matter of fact, we're going to say that as we are absconding with we are absconding with a dredge fisherman's fishing boat to cross the river. Seamus points out what's happening on the east battlefield, and he is going to pray to the gods of Ireland. That these undead will force the Dane to reevaluate his strategic position. So we're going to set this at the Skeletons DV, or the Danes DV, in a mob is 11. So we're going to set it at the Danes DV. Seamus with a +1 as he prays. So if I can roll an 11, or excuse me, a 10 or better, Seamus will get what he wants, and the Dane with his army will leave. So I need a 10 or better. Come on, Seamus. Oh, almost. So the Dane continues to fight with the undead. His army will ultimately waylay these pathetic undead. As we cross the river in our boat, it's time to roll another RSC here. So we at least successfully crossed the river. 8, 9, 10. 10, I think, again, is... Oh, my God. Rituals again. So, while he battles the undead, something greater appears. And this, because now I've got 3, we've got to now bring up a greater threat, as these rituals were clearly there to cause problem. And we are going to have it led by, these undead are going to be led by a demon. A great demon. The fog ultimately was there to obscure a demon. Oh my God. So coming out of the fog behind the undead, a demon. As it bellows, smoke pours from its pores, and it spits some type of black, grotesque saliva upon the ground. We can see it fizz as if it is some kind of unholy acid. This demon with a DV11, health of 8. One hell of a battle is about to go down between the Dane's army. Oh my God, let me make a note of this. So Dane army is DV11, health 7, I think. Let's double check that. So the Dane army is about to engage. I don't believe it. 11 and 7. Yep, 11 and 7 versus demon. DV11 health 8, and of course we're going to improve that. We're going to increase that as he has skeletons to deal with. DV is 6, 4. Oh man, no, I'm going to leave the skeletons a separate mob. DV 6, health 4. That is one hell of a battle that's going to rage over here on the east. We're crossing to the other side. We get out of the boat and we make haste toward... we're going to climb to the nearest hill and look back to see what's happening here. We don't want to decide to go get an army until we see what occurs, as Seamus screams out in horror and points toward the black demon. Stands about 12 feet tall, winged, however not flying but fluttering wings behind him, and he spits some kind of black and smoke pours from him. He looks almost like he is ephemeral, so to speak, but it's a dark fog like smoke that pours from his pores like I don't know, like steam. And the Dane will cross swords. Seamus again grabs Herc and pulls him as they drop, and they pray to their Lord, their God Almighty, to strike down the demon, as they cannot fathom what they are witnessing here. And although the Dane is a bad man, he is by no stretch an evil monster. And here we go. So it's going to be Seamus rolling against the demon at 11. And again, adding his spirit a +1. So we need a 10 or better for him to affect the combat. 9! He can't do it as the Dane is negatively affected. So the Dane is going to drop to 6 in health. And his DV won't drop until we go down one more, right? Okay, the demon lashes out at the Dane commander. And he doesn't do effect. The skeletons lash out. Oh, and they critically fell, which is 2 losses. So the demon would suffer a loss because he failed at attacking the... Right? So the demon is actually wounded in the fight with the Dane. And the skeletons are critically wounded. 2 of them left. And this DV drops to 4 as it becomes really easy now. Seamus, again, watching on. He can't really do much. He can't work miracles, but he could pray. And he will indeed pray again and pray to God Almighty to strike the demon down. And we now need a 10 or better again here. Come on. No. And again, he doesn't appear to like what he sees as the demon strikes out against... Yep, and the demon is going to this time cause damage to the army. And again, now we've gone down 2, so I'm going to reduce this to 10. And the army attacking back at the skeletons. And you wouldn't have to do this. You could actually narrate how it goes, but I like to see what happens here. And 8, it will not be good enough. Oh, yes, it will be, to actually eliminate one more skeleton. And the Dane himself fighting the creature, he's going to suffer another damage. So the Dane strikes out. And he's now down here as his men continue to fall. Seamus barks up, now stands full height, sticks both arms in the air, and calls down, God Almighty, you cannot allow such creatures to waylay normal men. And again, nothing occurs. Seamus turns and says, I don't think we should stay and watch this. Herc, with a Prestige of 2, is going to command Seamus to calm down. And yeah, 6 plus 2, 8. Actually, yep, with a +2 is going to be 10, actually. And Seamus calms, takes a knee, and he says, relax, we can still run and get an army, depending on what occurs here. Washburn, from the walls with his soldiers, watch on in the fields as he sees the Dane army in a mortal combat with a undead army led by a demon. And he circles with his horse and attempts to strike again at the demon. And he is going to suffer again as his men continue to fall, as the demon spits and swings giant hands. His men continue to fall. And we are now at the normal Dane. So he has no army left. We're now at his normal DV, his health down to 3. So he stands alone. Really, these numbers here are really projecting that he stands alone. And the demon will slash out, the skeleton army will lash out against the lone Dane. And again, no. So the Dane, able to defend himself from horseback, is able to cut down the final undead. And they are killed by the Dane. The single Dane leader stands before the demon. But the demon alone now against the Dane leader. Seamus at this point stands and says, well, at this point he just mumbles a prayer because he sees now the Dane leader alone against the Dane, against the demon. So it's a one-on-one. It's mano and mano. He lashes out from horseback, and he hits, and he strikes a large piece from. Again, we can see as his axe cuts through the figure of the demon, and we see much black ichor into the air. And actually here, Washburn and his men cheer the Dane from the walls. We hear Seamus and Herc are shocked to hear all of the people lining the walls cheer the Dane when he cuts a slice out of the demon. And that's when Herc says, we must help him. And Herc orders them to run for the river and help the Dane. And we need a 6 or better. No, so we're not able to forge the river. We are stuck trying to cross the river on this turn, and the demon roars back to strike down the horse. And 3, no, and the Dane, too quick on horseback, is able to retaliate and damage the demon again. We're going to bring the demon down now 9. He is, whoops, as the demon is almost cut in half of his health. So his DB now is 10. Herc now orders his brothers and Seamus again to swim. Prestige at 2. We need a 6 or better to cross with a +2. No, we still can't get across the river, so we have to get in the boat and take the boat across because we're not able to wade or swim across this raging torrent. And again, the demon will lash out on this turn, trying to bring the horse down. And yes, critical hit, actually. It will not only kill the horse, but it brings the Dane all the way down. And I think the demon does a little more. Of course, this isn't a PC, so we don't have to worry about the special effects. Just to give you an idea, the demon's special drains and curses. Wow, my land. Okay, so this Viking now standing barely, his horse beneath him, he climbs off the dead horse, and again, these people all in unison as they watch the horse, the demon smack the Viking and bring the horse down. They all of them together. It's a groan. It's a fearful groan as they see the Dane, who they feared not but 5 minutes ago. They feared the Dane and his army. They now fear the greater evil they see before them. We cross the river, and we're making run through the streets. It will take us a turn to get there. And the Viking, now standing barely on his legs with his axe, screams out to the greater of the gods of the pagans to help me smite this creature. And 9, again, the Dane will fail, and they all watch in horror, and we hear him gasp out loud as the creature grabs the Dane by the throat, picks him up, pulls from him his axe, drives his own axe into his chest, and drops him to the ground with his own axe in his chest. And the creature then turns its energies toward us or the palisade. We're going to make a luck check here. We are coming running toward it, but it may be hearing and seeing all of these wonderful victims on the palisade walls. 6, let's see, 1 to 6, it's us. 7 and up, it is the palisade the creature goes toward. It's the palisade. So the monster, I'm just going to use this for the monster, heads toward the palisade gates as Seamus, Herc, and brothers come in from behind. Screaming at the top of his lung, Herc, with his excellent sword, dives into the back of the creature, needing a 9 or better. 8 plus 2 is 10. I believe we strike the creature in the back. We do indeed, injuring the creature. That would be 4. It spins on its heels as we've stopped it before it approaches the gate, and it swings and attacks us. Oh, critical failure again. So Herc's brothers dive into it, striking it as I have got its attention, and they strike into it, causing 2 points of damage, reducing its DV to 8, and Washburn and everyone on the wall cheer as this creature roars out. However, the Dane was hit with a critical failure. The Dane is actually raised from the dead. He is what is called cursed in our game. The Dane is raised. So the Dane leader will actually raise the cursed Dane leader. He is cursed by our rules on that failed roll. So this ain't over yet as the cursed Dane leader raises to his feet. And he pulls his own axe from his chest and begins to lumber up to this melee with Seamus and company. Seamus takes a turn with his Saix to hit the creature and fails miserably. Seamus is now hurt again. Uh-oh, I think Seamus is now injured. So he's now injured. I'm injured. And my brothers are currently safe. However, they could be killed with one attack. The Cursed Dane Leader. And again, he's DV8. And his health, again, he's still the Dane Leader. He's just raised from the dead. He doesn't become a demon, so to speak. He just becomes a cursed, right? And we're going to go ahead and grab the normal Dane Leader numbers. So in a way, the Dane Leader is completely rejuvenated. That's what this amounts to. And what an epic battle we're seeing here. And notice I haven't rolled any more RSCs because we have so much going on. I don't think we need it. So the Dane Leader is an 8-4. So again, he's back on his feet, but now he is undead. Cursed undead because he failed a critical check. Unbelievable. So the Dane Leader on his feet, and he's shambling toward. The creature now reaches out and swings for Herc as I hurt him the most. Oh, the creature suffers. Oh, excuse me, that's a critical failure for my character. Remember, we roll, it always affects us. Oh my gosh. So Herc literally is that's a critical. So not only that, I would be dying. Second wound would be dead. And cursed. Oh my God. So they hear this creature grabs my arm as I'm swinging my sword and then spews this black ichor down my face and front as I burn and scream and fall limp as he holds my arm. And then he drops me to the ground as the sword falls free. And my brothers now I could use that though actually as killing my brothers. So I'm in control. Remember, it's my character, and I would be free here to sunder my brothers or myself. I mean, that sounds cold, but I can use my brothers to take both wounds. Or even the sword. I could actually commit the excellent sword and save my life. Yeah, I think what I'll do, I'm going to make a roll. Let's make a luck check. Does he actually attack my brothers or me? Luck check, 6 or up. With my modifier, I don't have one, 7. So he actually goes after my brothers. Sad. So this is actually still injured. But both my brothers before my eyes, Ulk and Carrie, are killed by the creature. As it swings ravagely around me, it spews this black ichor and basically kills both of my brothers outright. But they are cursed, which means they will raise, here in another turn, they're cursed. So we'll be facing my brothers. That'll be a horrific thing to think I'm facing my undead brothers. This undead creature dives in to attack, the undead Dane dives in to attack Seamus. And again, Seamus is making the roll. And Seamus fell, so Seamus will get hurt here again. And Seamus is now dying. He's not dead, but he's dying. As this creature with the axe strikes Seamus from behind. And once again, I reach out with my sword, now that I'm not in that situation. 5 + 2, 7. I think I may have hit it, though. This monster. No, I did not. I missed by 1. And that means I've suffered another injury at the hands of the creature. So now Herc is dying, not dead, but dying. Both my brothers are down, and Washburn orders archers to fire into the lot of us and attack the undead demon. It's a luck check, and it's a DV8 because of the demon's score, so I need a 8 or up to avoid being damaged in this onslaught. Critical failure. That means we suffer. You know what? They launch a volley of arrows because Washburn's decided the creature is more dangerous than they aren't too concerned about foreigners, and they are going to hit both of us. Dead, but at least we did not die by the creature, so we won't be raised. But both Seamus and Herc are killed by Washburn's archers. Ulk and Carrie are raised. And Seamus and Herc are dead. The brothers are raised. We won't rise because we weren't killed by the creature. We were killed by Washburn's men. And Washburn now, as the main characters are no longer relevant to the session, we would slip into oblivion, and we will not know how this ends, folks. That is the end of the session. As all PCs are dead, Herc and Seamus killed by a archer's critical archer's critical hit. Let's see here. Herc and Seamus are killed by Washburn's archers while fighting a demon and undead Dane leader. And that's it. We wouldn't know what happens here as we would die out. All awareness, Seamus and Herc's awareness of the world around us slips into darkness, and we don't know what happens to Dredgewater. And there we have it. Done. Great session. Second session. Again, literally, what happened here? Let's recap it. So Seamus and company were given not only their freedom, but they were told to enjoy Dredgewater. You are not our enemy. Herc is successfully healed. We attempt to get armor from the blacksmith, who does not trust us. He won't do it. I rolled rituals more than once and began the process of thinking, what would that be? When I rolled it a second time, I said, well, it's got to be something now. They would have made a ritual sacrifice, maybe killing 4 people or whatever, and then bringing them to their feet and sending them off towards Dredgewater to create havoc. We don't know who did it, right? That would be something the players would have to investigate if they survived. The army, I rolled the Dane army, so it shows up here to demand Washburn give him his land and his palisade over peacefully. We convince, with a critical success, that he let us leave, sneak out, arm us, let us sneak out, and let us go fetch an Irish army. They hold the fort, and then we can arrive with an army and try to stop this Dane army. I rolled rituals again, and that meant at that point there has to be even something more dangerous, and a demon stalks from the unholy fog, and we watch the Dane army fall, we watch the undead fall, we watch the demon then kill the Dane leader, who is cursed. He heads up to the palisade. We decide to make chase. It takes us a while to get across the river. We have to use the boat. We race up. We fight the demon at the gates of the palisade. Washburn, at this point, seeing just us, my 2 brothers struck down, at that point decides he has no choice but to act now if he's going to stop this demon. We fail miserably in the combat check, and those archers' arrows strike everything, but ultimately they kill us. Session over. Wow, that was pretty cool. That's what happened. That's pretty cool. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.